Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's weekly message from Spirit. It's Monday again, and so we get to connect and enjoy ourselves and find out a bit of information about what we can expect energetically this week, what's available for us from Spirit. And so it is earlier than normal, so I apologize for that. I did send a message out to say I would be doing it earlier tonight. And that's because in South Africa we have a lovely thing called load shedding, which is Eskom's way of trying to ensure that they can handle the load, the electricity load. So we have scheduled the electricity outage at 8 o'clock. So hopefully we are fine until 8 o'clock and we are able to connect and do this. So welcome to the week of Valentine's Week. One of the sort of strange days that we get to celebrate love in the world. So for me personally, every day is a day to celebrate love, and I'm not sure what it is about the 14th that makes us more abundant in the show of love to each other. And we tend to focus on romantic love, which is a terrible experience for people that aren't in relationships. And so I would like to propose that we use this as a week of self-love, a week of general love, a week of just demonstrating love to ourselves and to each other, and really allowing ourselves to explore love in its infinite ability to connect us as a human race. And as we start with loving ourselves, so things can shift and so things can change. So maybe it's time to take yourself on a date, or give yourself a pamper, or give yourself a gift, or tell yourself the words that you would love to hear yourself say, and really just give yourself the gift of some love this week. So as always, I'm going to start off with the crystal for this week, and from last week I started to bring forward what is a sacred geometry symbol to work with for the week as well, and then I will do the general reading. That's the sort of weather report for whoever finds this reading, and then I'll start doing the individual sessions. So we'll start off tonight with the crystal, and just as I sat down to connect tonight and to find out what it is, sorry, let's sort of put this pillow here, what is the energy for tonight and where do we start, one of my absolute all-time favorite crystals came forward. It's actually the crystal that I am wearing. Those of you that have been with me this weekend know that I was wearing this, and this crystal is called Labradorite. This is the mandala from the Alana Fairchild pack for Labradorite. Here's a magnificent piece of it, and you can see how exquisite it is. You can see it's one of my favorite crystals. Anybody who knows me knows that this is one of my all-time favorite crystals. It's beautiful because you can see the raw side and the polished side. This is a crystal that's all about alchemy. It's a stone of magic. It's all about embracing magic and magic in all sorts of forms, magic of manifestation, so making that which we want to appear, the magic of healing, which is about this infinite possibility of allowing things to come back to its most natural state. It's a highly, highly elevated stone that brings us to a sort of sense of peacefulness and embracing all that is. And most importantly, that embracing that sort of sense of magic is embracing the magic of self, the magic of me, the magic of you. And that's why you'll see on this mandala, it says individuality. It's this ability to notice what is the uniqueness of you. And so as we start with this week of love, is, what do you need to love about yourself? What is unique about you? You are your purpose and you are the gift to the world. And so as you allow yourself to step into the magic of you, so you can shine very brightly. And the sacred geometry symbol that came forward is one of the sort of, it's there consistently throughout the universe and has been around for a very, very long time, and that is the golden spiral, often known as the Fibonacci spiral as well. The Fibonacci spiral and the golden spiral are not technically the same things, but they are so closely aligned, and you can draw the Fibonacci spiral, which gets you the golden spiral. And the golden spiral, the beauty of it is it's a starting point, and it's a natural expansion process that just continues to expand on itself. And so again, we've got this idea of expansion, the same way as we've got with the Labradorite, is how do we expand our heart and allow our sort of heart to shine. If we imagine the sort of golden spiral starting from our center, how it extends into our aura and brings an elevation, brings an expandedness of the love that we have to the world. You can go and Google the golden spiral. It is amazing to see all the research around the golden spiral in music, or the Fibonacci spiral in music, in nature, and how the sort of natural process, and look at sunflower or a cone or any leaf or anything, how the Fibonacci spiral and the golden spiral is intrinsic in the way that it develops and grows. And so it is a sort of pattern for growth, the pattern for expansion, and the pattern to sort of naturally organize yourself to your highest potential would be the best way that I can describe the golden spiral. Right, so let us start off then with the weekly message from Spirit, which is I'm going to pull 3 cards, and these 3 cards are available to whoever finds this reading tonight, this week, tomorrow, or anywhere in the future. The beauty of the way the guidance works is that when you see it is when you need to hear it, and you will always get the message that you need to hear. And so this sort of universal reading supports many souls' expansion at this point in time, and kind of gives a perspective to whoever finds it along the way. And so as I connect with my guides, I'm going to ask them to bring forward only messages that support the highest good for all, and we'll get 3 cards. First card is, what do we need to pay attention to this week? The second card is, what support is available this week? And the third card is, what opportunities exist this week? Where can we step more into our divinity and into our light? Right, so let us see as I connect in tonight. So nice to see you all online. I was worried that if I was doing it earlier, that some of you would miss it. So if you're only coming online now, I'm sorry I'm doing it a bit earlier than normal. It's to try and make sure we can stay online with the electricity. Right, so the card that comes forward, oh, and I love it. The card that comes forward as the card of where do we need to pay attention this week? What is sort of the thing that we need to notice. And the reason I love it is it's the card you need to take the first step. But if you have a look here, the sort of symbol at the top of the card is the golden spiral, the Fibonacci spiral. And so it's again this expansive thing. And when we notice this card, you need to take the first step. This is really about provoking action. February is definitely and energetically, it's a time to stop thinking, stop procrastinating, and start doing, acting on your own divinity, acting on your own guidance. One of the messages that's come forward very strongly for me in the last week is that so many of my clients sit down and they start off a session by saying, I'm stuck and I don't know what to do. And the way Spirit has come forward is they say, this is not true. Every single soul knows what to do. We all know what to do. We're just too scared to say what we need to do, or we're too scared to take the action. If we're honest with ourselves, there's something we know we need to do. We know we need to change a dynamic in our lives. We need to leave something. We need to start something. We need to write. I mean, I don't know if any of you have seen the Joy of Journaling course that's coming up. Souls are constantly being asked to write into their story, to express themselves into their lives. And we resist it. We resist meditating. We resist journaling. We resist speaking. We resist taking the step we need to take. And so this is a call to pay attention to what is it that repetitively keeps coming up for you as a step for you to take, the action for you to work on. And it's not the action of avoiding your fear, it's the action of your inspiration. And your inspiration is that sort of feeling of calling. It's that feeling of knowing, if I had the courage, I would do this. If I had the money, I would do this. If I had the time, I would do this. These are all profound ways of us delaying ourselves from the gifts of our heart. And so when we take action, and I promise you, the way the divine works is the smallest action leads to the most expansive transformation. And hence why we've got this Fibonacci spiral, the golden spiral, is the tiniest step that we take starts to expand on itself and leads to the greatest transformation in our life. And many of you would have heard me talking about this before. One of my favorite poets is a guy called David White. And David White has a poem called Start Close In. And Start Close In is really about take the step you do not want to take, the step you know you need to take. Start close in. And it's the tiniest step. I will find the poem. I'm really not saying it in a way that is actually the way it's written. It is the most beautiful poem. I will find it and I will post it again on my page, because it is really about noticing what is it I need to do today. And sometimes the first step to take is to meditate. The first step to take is to greet someone. The first step to take is to sign up for the course you don't want to sign up for. The first step to take is to book for a reading. The first step to take is to start writing the notes. The first step to take is to draw. The first step to take is whatever. And it won't make sense and it won't seem logical and you won't be able to know where it's going to lead to. But when you start there, it leads to somewhere. The set of cards that I now have, the first set of cards that I drew started on a silent retreat where I had for months before been asked in every meditation I did to draw the cards. I don't know what cards. I didn't know what for. I didn't even know what I was going to use them for. And on a silent retreat, I eventually gave up on the need to try and figure it out. And I sat down and I drew the first card. And that has translated into the set of cards that you've seen me work with before. And I really, whilst I was drawing them, I didn't know that's what was going to happen. And now we have this pack of cards that's about to be marketed. You can see there's going to be a link shortly up this week where you can pre-order your sets of cards. And so that was 3.5 years ago that the first card was drawn, with no purpose, no intention, just taking the step. And now, my entire sense of the work that I do with the divine has been centered around a lot of the messages that came forward from there. So take the step you don't want to take, the step you know you need to take, the step that makes no sense, and really allow yourself to flow into that. So the card that then supports that in terms of what support is available for us this week, and it's the card that says, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Now, when we start to see you need to take the first step, and then we get this card, forgive yourself, and the opportunity for forgiveness. And the beauty of this card is looking at it in terms of the fact that it's this heart that's trapped in a cage. And really, it's kind of holding ourselves separate from the possibility of expansion. And so when we don't forgive ourselves, we hold ourselves small. When we forgive ourselves, we kind of open up and we break free. And so what needs to be forgiven and how do we forgive ourselves is the two messages they bring in forward. The first thing is, what needs to be forgiven? Well, firstly, the answer from the divine is nothing, because they don't believe in the concept of forgiveness. It's a man-made concept. It's something our ego needs. And forgiveness is about a freedom. It's about a compassion. It's about noticing that we've done the best we knew how to do. And in the context of this reading of you need to take the first step is releasing regret for where you are in your life, and releasing the idea that you need to be anywhere different or doing anything different to what you are doing, and allowing yourself to honor your path. When we have a look at this card of you need to take the first step, we can see the footprints in the the footprints in the sand that bring us to today, and all of these serve. All of it needs to be honored. And so the best way that we can forgive ourselves is not by going through some form of punishment process, some sort of redemption process, some sort of way of proving to the world we're a better person than we think we are. It's actually with gratitude, thanking ourselves for every lesson we've learned, every mistake we've made, every step we've taken, and every way that we have navigated our life so far, and to be grateful for every version of ourselves that's come before today, and to sit in that absolute love of ourselves. And that is where the magic happens. When we remember this Labradorite, magic happens when we sit in gratitude, when we just say thank you. If I had to say thank you, Taryn, for the 5-year-old version of you that suppressed your voice because you did that to try and protect yourself. Thank you, Taryn, for this. Thank you, Taryn, for that. Whatever it is, there's nothing you should have, could have, or would have done differently to what you have done. And when you free yourself, you can take the next step rather than sitting and beating yourself up for what you have not done yet. And so allowing yourself to truly, truly be free from that. Right, so the card that then comes forward, this card's coming up a lot this year. I've been doing the higher self readings, the remote readings. If you're still waiting for one, it is on its way to you shortly. And this is the card of Speak Your Truth. Speak your truth. And so this is the opportunity that exists this week, is how do we step into more of our light? We start saying words that resonate with our heart. I was doing a workshop on archetypal blueprint readings this weekend. It was probably one of the most powerful workshops that I've done in a very long time. Is what are the archetypal patterns that you chose as a soul, and how are they serving your growth and your enlightenment in this lifetime, and how do you work with them and how do you shift them? And the message that came forward is, what does the world need the most at this point in time? And the answers are always love, and we need oneness, and we need a sense of community, and we need a sense of compassion. And all these things are absolutely 100% true. But the answer that came forward from Spirit is the thing that we need is truth speaking. We need to start speaking the truth. And the truth is not the same as honesty. The truth is not the same as opinion. The truth is just stating what is going on in a way that is uncensored and has no judgment and no bias. Not in the way of saying this is right and this is wrong, this is good and this is bad. It's just to start speaking the truth about what is going on. The truth about what is happening for me in my life, for you in your life, the truth of the way you're behaving, the truth of what is going on in the world, and being able to speak the truth in a non-confrontational way, in a way so that it comes from the heart, so that when people hear the truth, they can do nothing but change, nothing but notice. And when they notice their truth, they can say, okay, if that is it, then what do I want to do differently? We spend so much of our energy in illusion, in the illusion of the way we think things should be, in the illusion of the way we want things to be. We're in resistance to the way things are. We say words that are not our truth. And learning how to connect with our truth and to say things just as they are allows us to become free, and that's what sets us free, to forgive ourselves. And so being able to stand up for what it is and to start this process off is, what is your truth? And tonight they're saying is a truth speaking readings. So if you want to know your truth, then we're going to be doing your reading. So for those of you that would like readings, you can ask for a reading. Those of you that are on here for the first time, I'll just give you a sense of how it works. Is I'm intuitively drawn to whoever I'm going to do a reading for that serves the greatest good, whoever's online as a group or whoever's going to hear this. So if you're not chosen, it does not mean you're not loved. Everybody is loved by the divine, and it's not something personal from me. It's far more around, you may well have received a message already and you need to trust the message you're getting. So it's important to listen to other people's messages, and if it resonates with your heart, to allow that to be part of your truth. I also don't scroll back up, so please just keep asking if you would like a reading, and we'll try and get through as many readings as we possibly can. Right, so let us start with the readings for tonight. Jenny van Dierventer, let's start with you. Please can I have a reading if I'm meant to get one from Spirit? So clearly you are. Margaret Christ, let my truth be heard. All right, okay, Jenny, so let us see. All right, Jenny, the message has come forward from your guides is perspective. What is small is big, and what is big is small. And the idea of shifting perspective is a radical healing technique, they're saying. The guides say, people believe one thing, and their perspective shifts, and the entire world is transformed. The entire world shifts just from a perspective shift. And so that perspective shift can happen in 1 minute. And so healing can happen in a second, really. And being able to open your mind to the possibility of seeing things from an alternative way, seeing a person through another light, seeing the world through a different perspective. That is the difficult part, is opening up to the possibility that you could see it from a different perspective. Now, in your case, Jenny, the way that your guides are coming forward is they say that there's a certain sort of, that's the best way I can describe this. It doesn't seem to be a person, but there's certainly a pattern of the way you and a person are interacting with each other. And it might not be one person, it could be more than one person. And it seems to be linked to being at home. And there's sort of like a dance step that's going on. Like you do this and that person does this. And you're in this sort of dance with this person. And when you can notice that this person is needing something from you, and you need something from this person, then it could shift as opposed to being sort of, it doesn't show it as a confrontation, but it does show it as missing each other. And so the perspective they're asking you to notice is, whoever this person is, if you could sit and go into what do they need and what do I need? And that perspective in itself brings an empathy as opposed to a sort of sense of trying to get your opinion heard, because it's almost like you're missing each other. It's the best way I can describe it, is there's a sense of missing each other, like working past each other. And so what does this person need and what do you need from this person? This gives you insights into a different perspective. And when you notice this, it doesn't mean you need to do it or they need to do it, but you can notice what it is that you are needing. Because when you can take care of what you need, then you won't need it from that person as much. And this allows you to change the dynamics between you and this person. I'm saying you know who I'm talking about and it will make sense to you. So I'm going to leave it at there and see what comes up for you. I hope that resonates and makes sense for you, my love. Jackie Holmes. Please could I have a reading? Yes, Jackie Holmes. Let us see. Yes, Tracy, I do get messages from people that have passed, so I can do mediumship readings as well. So if we don't connect through on tonight, then it's certainly something we can do. Pleasure, Jenny. I hope that resonates for you, makes sense for you. I love. Right. Sit in the truth of whatever that is. All right, Jackie. So your guides coming forward from your guides. I'm running out of space here. Let me just make some space before I lose all my cards here. Is allow your life to unfold. Allow your life to unfold. When we have a look at this picture, we see these beautiful dandelions. And dandelions are the sort of, for me, they're the sort of fairy flower. You blow these dandelions and all these little things float out into the world. And they will go where they go and they'll land where they land. And when we think of ourselves as almost these little petals out in the world, is that if we allow ourselves to flow with the sort of natural states of life, we'll land where we need to land and we'll become what we need to become. That in itself seems almost too difficult, because the idea of taking action is quite an important step in our own spiritual growth. And so your guides come forward and they're saying, how do you integrate taking step and trusting and allowing life to unfold at the same time? And they want to answer this question for you in terms of being able to integrate this. And the important part of taking step and allowing your life to unfold is being in the present moment. Is what is the action this present moment is asking you to take. That is when we allow our lives to unfold in the way that it's meant to unfold. When we are taking action on plans that we created 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, even a week ago, then sometimes we could lose the benefit of the miracles and the gifts of this moment. Now, this does not mean not committing and not being authentic to commitments we made. But if for some reason we made a commitment to ourselves 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or came up with a plan, or we thought this is what we're going to be doing, and we find ourselves in a place where no part of us resonates with it, no part of us is aligned with it, we keep procrastinating, we don't want to do it, we're finding reasons not to, well, then the truth of it might be might not be the step to be taking in the current moment, and allowing yourself to be guided by what's the step of the current moment. Now, quite equally by this is that we may be taking action in the current moment that's for a future that we desire. And so we have a future plan, and we're taking action now for that future plan. And again, it might not be the action we want to take in the current moment, but it's the things we should do, because there's an idea of where we should be, and we're trying to get there. Now, this in itself, this guidance is coming forward, whilst it's very much for you, Jackie, it's supportive for many, many people that are on this reading, is there is a difficulty in taking action in the current moment that's based on a past decision or a future goal. Because either way, your energy is split and it's not aligned to what it is being called for in the current moment. If your future plan or your past decision is aligned with the truth of the current moment, then action is easy. And so this is where all time collapses. What I've decided, what I want, and what I am are all colliding into one. And so then I have no resistance to action, and there will be no procrastination. Procrastination happens because of misalignment of past, present, and future. And we're trying to bring a past or a future into the present moment and force ourselves to live by it. And so sometimes we need to sit in sort of a truth thing and say, okay, what is important to me now? What is that step? What is that action that if I lived in the faith of doing what it is I feel called to do right now, it would unfold? And let me give you a little bit of an example, and maybe it will make some sense to the broader group. I just told you I did this workshop weekend where I did the archetype workshop, a really, really intense workshop, and it's taken me quite a lot of connection to spirit to channel the manual and to find the guidance, and in many ways I've resisted some of it a lot. And I remember sitting down last weekend to do the manual, and I was quite adamant I need to do the manual because we need the manual for the workshop. And all I kept getting was I need to draw the mandala for the workshop. And I was like, I don't want to draw a mandala now, I need the manual. And I keep getting, draw the mandala. And so eventually I stopped resisting and I drew the mandala. And what happened is the mandala was the foundation for all the content that needed to come forward into the manual. And once I had the mandala, the manual structured itself around that. And my head disagreed with that action. I didn't want to do it. I couldn't understand what it was about. But when I acted on it, things came together. And so this is the guidance of allow your life to unfold, is take action on the step that you've been asked to take now and notice what that is for you. All right, so Jackie, they've used your question or your reading as a great reading for the broader group, so I hope that it makes sense for you, but it was also for it's definitely there for the broader group as well, as they all are. Right. Okay, let us see what we're coming up here with. Christine van Staden. What is it that your guides would like to tell you? There seems to be a lot of activity. The guides are calling me to many of you, so just keep asking and I will try and get to as many of you as I possibly can. All right, Christine. The message is coming forward for you is trust your inner knowing. Trust your inner knowing. Pleasure, Jackie. Okay, Christine. Where your guides are coming forward Firstly, I have this immense amount of energy coming in from my crown chakra. So it seems to me like there's this activation that's going on for you in terms of activating a connection between you and the divine. It doesn't mean it hasn't been there before, but it's very, very activated, almost like an elevation of your energy. And there's a lot of us that are moving from 3D to 5D consciousness at the moment. And so there's like an expansiveness. And when we look at the 3D chakra system, we have a crown chakra. And when we have the 5D chakra system, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but we have what's called the causal chakra, which is a chakra that exists just behind our head. It's like almost like a little moon. It's like a little moon that sits here. And then we have the crown chakra, but it expands. And then we have a soul gateway chakra and a stellar gateway chakra that are above us. And so this sort of union between the crown, the causal, the soul gateway, and the stellar gateway becomes quite an expanded channel to the divine. And it opens up a sort of entry point to more wisdom than we've had before, and to more teachings than we've had before. There are many of us that are going through this expansion, this elevation. I think in June or July, I'm doing a talk on the 5D chakra system and how to activate and how to work it. And there's a course that we're busy working on to bring forward. But for you, Christine, specifically, there's like a lot of new information that's coming forward for you. It's like your intuition is in high alert at this point in time, and there's downloads that are happening for you. These downloads would be inspirations, thoughts, awarenesses, paradigm shifts. You'll see the world differently. Remember the perspective card we were talking about earlier, of seeing things in a different way. And they're asking that you honor this and are aware of it, and just notice it. There's nothing you need to do. There's nothing you need to change. But what you can do is almost just note it and honor it and trust that you are going through an expansion. And in that expansive process, it's important to take care of yourself. They're saying there's a need for rest, and there's a need for lots of water, and there's a need for lots of meditation. So creating space for you to care for yourself, because it's almost like you've opened up the doorway to connect with your higher self in this way. And you need to be able to bring that data into your body. And in order to do that, you need to honor the physical needs that are there for you. So I hope that makes sense for you, Christine. All right, Navashni. Navashni, please, can I have a reading? Yes, Navashni. All right, there's Navashni asking again, so let us see what your guides want to tell you, yeah? All right, Navashni, the card that is coming forward for you is rest. Take a break, indulge yourself. Rest, take a break, indulge yourself. Sorry, there's like a lot of expanded energy seeming to happen tonight. Rest, take a break, indulge yourself. So the important part of this card is not so much going on a holiday. It's not so much having a sleep. It's so much more about relaxing into your life and noticing where your sort of anxiety and stress is coming from, because anxiety and stress often come from an idea that life should be different to the way it is. Somebody should be different to the way it is. Your bank balance should be different to the way it is. Your work should be different to the way it is. Something should be different to the way it is. And when we fight life in that way, it releases quite a lot of adrenaline in our body, and it causes us to live in quite a lot of anxiety and stress. And so when we can embrace it for what it is, it doesn't mean we like it. We can just accept it for what it is. Then we can start to ask ourselves, if that is what it is, the truth of it, then what am I going to do about it? Now, if that is the truth of this person, if that is the truth of my bank balance, if that is the truth of my work, if that's the truth of my life at this point in time, then what do I want to do, and what is the action for me to take for me to move forward? And you can see the connection with the messages that came forward for everybody, and the general messages is this is how we do it. And then you are in a place where you are far more integrated and calm, and you're able to find your voice, which means it's finding the voice to the divine, finding the voice to your intuition, finding the voice and the connection to your spirit, and then action becomes easier. And you can hear the link if you weren't here earlier and you didn't see the initial 3 cards. It's useful to go and look at that again, because they really are showing a very strong link for this. And so Navashni, what they're saying to you specifically is, what if it's all perfect? What if everything is just the way you need it to be? This doesn't mean you like it. It just is the way you need it to be. Then you can notice what's on offer, what's available, what is it that is calling to change, and then what step do you need to take to change that. And you can do this from a relaxed place. There's no punishment. There's no need for any drama. There's no need for anything to be difficult. Just what if it's all the way it is supposed to be? So I hope that makes sense for you, Navashni. They seem to be giving very sort of profound messages. I keep saying to them they may need for something more practical, but they're saying it's exactly what we need to be doing, so we'll keep doing it. Right, let us see. Vandana, reading please. Vandana, I think you sent me a message. I think you sent me a WhatsApp, but you sent it to me on Friday evening, and I haven't answered. I don't answer WhatsApps over the weekend, so I will put you in touch with Stacey, who you can contact her on admin@surrendertoyoursoul.com, and she sets up the sessions and the readings for me. So if you haven't heard from me, then you're more than welcome to contact her. I've been training all day and all weekend, so I haven't had a chance to connect with you. Right, so here we see this beautiful card again. Allow your life to unfold. Yeah. Allow your life to unfold. Vandana, the way, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, the way your female guide comes forward is she comes forward with this sort of she comes forward with this sort of procession. If you imagine somebody walking forward and they're sort of part of a, you know, those marching bands. And in the idea of the marching bands is like, you know, the marching bands, everybody comes forward, and we've got the people with the flags at the front, and then we've got the people with the trumpets, and then we've got the people with the drums, and they all have this sort of way of marching together, and they all know their part, exactly how they're playing it. And the drum, one of the drummers is not necessarily comparing themselves to the drummer next to them, but is certainly in tune with them, playing their own drum, but in partnership with the other drums. And when we start to look at the comparison of the drum to the sort of person that's on the trumpet, or the person that's on the waving the flags, or whatever they're doing, the drummer is not paying attention to those people. The drummer is drumming. And when the drummer pays attention to the fact that he or she needs to just drum and play their drum to the best of their ability, they're able to integrate into life. If the drummer was busy comparing themselves to the person on the trumpet, or worse, trying to get the person on the trumpet to do something different so that they could do something different, then everything would be out of whack. And so the best way that your guide's coming forward is, she says there seems to be a lot of focus on other people in your life, a lot of focus on what they're doing so that you can do what you need to do. And if we bring this metaphor of the sort of procession of this marching band, is notice the drum you need to play, and to play your part, and to release the need to try and fix others in the part that they're playing, or change others in the part they're playing. Allow them to play their parts, and you can drum, or you can connect, or you can do what it is that's your part in this. And the more you do this in alignment, because it means you stay tuned in, and you notice, and you drum in alignment with it. You know, you're not playing your own part in such a way that you just like, I want to play it like this, boom, 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 and I don't care what's going on. I notice what's going on, and I integrate in with others. But I'm also not trying to change others so that I can do what it is. And your female guide is saying there's a really, really strong need for you to step into the part you play and allow yourself to do the things you need to do, to play the tune you need to play, to take accountability for the steps you need to take, and then you can flow. You can be a part of the grand scheme of life, and it removes the blockages that you seem to be feeling going on at this point in time. I hope that makes sense for you, Vandana. If you don't hear from me, my love, then just please contact Stacey on admin@surrendertoyoursoul.com. Yeah, if any of you wanting a reading, that's the best way to set it up. I get really busy, and so it doesn't always work. Mary Ann Raju. Right, Mary Ann, let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight. If you hear a reading and it resonates with you, then feel free to validate that. It's always useful to find your voice and express what it is you're needing to. If you're enjoying these readings, then it'd be awesome if you would be willing to do a testimonial on my page. It's always something that I'm grateful for if you'd like to do that. I'm glad, Vandana, I'm glad that it makes sense to you, my darling. All right, Marianne Raju, please can I have a reading? Yes, you can. The message is coming forward for you. You cannot do your life wrong, release all regret. You cannot do your life wrong, release all regret. Okay, Marianne. There's two parts coming forward. So your male guide is stepping forward quite strongly, and I'll talk to you about him. But there seems to be a grandmother or a mother or an aunt energy coming forward for you. So I'm not sure if there's somebody that's crossed over, either a grandmother or a mother or an aunt. So definitely a female energy that's coming forward that wants to connect with you. So please let me know if there is somebody that's crossed over that you would like to connect with, because they're quite insistent that I bring forward a message for you. The way your male guide is coming forward in the meantime, whilst I wait for your response to that, is he steps forward with this the sort of sorry, he's showing me two things, and that's why I'm asking him to get a little bit clearer with it. The first thing he steps forward with a cross, and the cross is sort of like this crucifix. Now, he's not stepping forward with a religious sort of idea of carrying a crucifix or any of this, but he's stepping forward and he's holding a cross and he's holding it in front of him. But then he's, in this very same way, he steps forward and in his other hand, he's got a wand. Yeah? And so think of a magic wand. And so now we cannot think of two things that in the world symbolically have been things that people have put as against each other. Religion and magic. Yeah, the witches versus the church, for example. And so this idea of having a connection to God, to a connection to spirit, to being okay, all right, Mary Ann, I'll connect with that now. So this sort of religious energy, but also the witch in you and the sort of magic in you. And your male guide steps forward and he's got both of these symbols for you, and he says both are part of your truth. And sort of the integration of the witch in you, the magic of you, with the religious part of you, the part of you that is deeply devoted to the divine. Neither of these needs to be kept in separation or in judgment or in secret. The integration of them, and you have this ability to integrate them and start to work with them. I run a course called Lifting the Veil, which is an 8-month program of learning how to work with spirits. And the reason I bring that up is because they're telling me to, they're showing me, but in last year's one, there was a lady who is a deeply devout Catholic that is part of now channeling Mother Mary and bringing forward a lot of information and a lot of beautiful work from that perspective. And so the sort of time of no longer keeping things separate and allowing things to become integrated. And so when we bring up this card, you cannot do your life wrong, release or regret. I mean, your male guide used this as an opportunity to say, you cannot choose the wrong path. You cannot go wrong here. But the idea that you must choose one keeps you separate from doing either. And you have both aspects, and you have many past lives and a very strong lineage of these things. And so that's why your sort of the matriarchal kind of energy, your mother and your grandmother and your aunt have come forward as almost this trilogy. And again, we get the three sort of idea of coming forward. And in this trilogy, they're stepping forward, and they almost form a circle around you, my love. And as they form a circle around you, they want you to know they're on your path with you, that they are backing you, and that you're here to bring forward the wisdom and the magic that they never did. There seems to have been a suppression in your family of the woman healers in your past, and a part of your work in this lifetime is to step into the healer in you and to integrate all of this and to walk forward in a different way, and to notice that and to see what that is about for you. So what a beautiful message. Some of the messages that gives me goosebumps. I hope that that makes sense for you, Mary Ann. If not, give me a shout, because there's definitely a lot more there for you. All right, so Mary Ann. All right, let's see. Kira Fleming. Kira Fleming. Let us see what your guides want to say. Kira Fleming. Oh, there's so many of you that the guides are connecting with tonight that I'm sitting there and going like, oh my word, how am I going to connect with all of you? But we'll see. Hopefully the electricity plays its part and behaves, because according to the schedule, it's supposed to go off at 8. So, but you never know. Seriously, you never know. We flow with like surrender. Surrender, 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 surrender. Right. Kira, let us see. Mary Ann's reading was amazing, wasn't it, Tracy? It was just amazing. Beautiful reading. And if it resonated with you like that, then something you may have needed to hear. Kira, Kira, Kira. Let your light shine. Let your light shine. Your female guide is the one that's stepping forward, and she steps forward with this sort of it's amazing for me, the theme that starts to come up in when I'm doing these readings. But she steps forward with a sort of tiny little candle. And this candle is you know, in a sort of, if you think of sort of a lantern, and so it's like this glass lantern, and she's holding it, and inside it's this tiny little candle. And in this candle, it's got this tiny little flickering flame. And so she brings this forward to give it to you. Like, she wants to give you this gift, that this is your light. And she's been looking after it for you. And she's been tending it for you and keeping it alight, but it's your job to do that now. And the more you can tend to your light, honor your light and put it inside you, and you can shine it, the more that light is there to start radiating out into the world. And as it radiates out into the world, it moves from being a tiny little candle that has the risk of being blown out to a full-blown lighthouse that nobody can blow out. And that this pathway of honoring your light and looking after it and nurturing it and fueling it is your responsibility. And when she says it's your responsibility, it's not in the sense that you've been abdicating it. There's a fear of your light. Because when we stand in our light, you get attention. And when you get attention, people have opinions. And when people have opinions, they're not all opinions we like. But they're seeing you. And so everybody sees you. You can't keep on your light for those that you like. There are many souls that are going to have opinions about what you're doing that want to switch it off. And part of the pathway of being somebody who stands in their light, of being a lighthouse for others, is getting comfortable with the attention and not switching it off for others. And when we have a look at this card, the sort of lighthouse, the sort of light shining in this beautiful night sky, it's really important that the light is shining the brightest in the night sky. The light shines the brightest when it's facing shadow. And we can't switch off the light when we're facing shadow, because we need to keep the light on so that we can expose shadow. And then shadow has to shift and has to move and has to do its thing. And so Kira, in the simplest way that I can put it into words that are maybe more practical than the metaphor she's giving you, is that you are here to heal shadow in this lifetime. Your own shadow, other people's shadow, shadow of the world. And it's not something to be feared, and it's not something to resist, and it's not something to reject. It is something to learn, and it's something to know how to work with. And to know that shadow is just energy, and it's not something bad at all. It's just the teacher, and it's a teacher of light. It helps us step into our light. And so for you to embrace this gift, she offers it to you. She says, here's your legacy. This is your purpose. This is your calling. She's been looking after it for you, and for you to start tending to it, for you to start honoring the fact that you are a light walker and a light worker, and you have work to do. You have work to do and things to remember. So I hope that makes sense for you, Kira. Really beautiful readings coming forward tonight. Lots of light workers stepping forward, yeah. Let us see. Taryn Lawson, let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight. One of the things that I'm busy working on that's worth sharing with the group as a whole at this point in time. Oh, Kira. Oh, tears of joy, I hope. Tears of joy. Trust that release is important, and for you to work with that. It's awesome. I've got goosebumps. One of the things I'm working on is with the new sets of cards, I'm going to be launching a podcast around the cards. And the podcast is called Pick 3 Cards. And what's going to happen is that you'll have access to picking cards on any given day, and there'll be a video of that card and information and exercise of things you can do with that card. So you can start working with this guidance on a daily basis if you want to, and on a personal basis if you want to. So we're busy working on that. We're busy working on getting all those videos together, and so we'll be launching that podcast in a few weeks' time, I imagine. Eric, who's my boyfriend and my business manager, he's busy with the schedule of it, so we're busy launching it. All right, Taryn, let us see what your guides would like to tell you. The card that comes forward for you, Taryn, is Approach with Lightness. Approach with Lightness. They really want me to point out the Merkaba. The Merkaba is the star tetrahedron, is the sort of the sacred geometry symbols here, and the Merkaba is the vehicle of light. It's the mind, body, spirit vehicle. And so it's sort of like an advanced energetic pattern for traveling through time and space, and working with spirit. And it is the symbol of the heart, and it's the symbol of expanded consciousness, the Merkaba. And so they're bringing forward this message, approach with lightness. And the approach with lightness is very much asking you to notice the possibility of living your life in a lighter way. What they mean by living your life in a lighter way is allowing yourself to, I'm going to say lighten up, but I want to find a better way of saying it, because in this way, they're not talking about light like switching on a light switch and light in the way we've been talking about. They're talking about light like lightening up from the burdens, that you don't need to be carrying everything so heavy. One of the things they give me the most around to this, Taryn, is that you're very serious, and you get very serious about everything that needs to happen. Very serious about your path, very serious about your work, very serious about what you need to be doing. And this can all be lightened up with a sense of humor and a sense of, if you can't get it wrong, you can't screw it up, you can't do it the wrong way, you can't do your life wrong. And so you can have a little bit more fun, you can have a little bit more of a joy. And when you do this, your sort of spirit lightens up, and then you travel lighter, which is where this message of the sort of Merkaba is, that we're supposed to travel through this life with lightness. Yeah, is that we're here to enjoy it, not to survive it. Yeah, you're not going to survive anyway. We're all dying. you know. So this idea of how do we enjoy the life that we have? How do we travel lightly? Means that we sometimes need to put down the things we are carrying that are not ours to carry. It's kind of like some of us walk through our lives, as saying, like we walk through with a sack, and anything that looks like it's a difficult thing, oh, that looks like a burden, let me take it from that person, I'll carry that. Or this looks like a problem to be solved, let me worry about that. Or this looks like that must be done, let me sort that out. So you put all these burdens in the sack, and you walk around carrying it and carrying it and carrying it, and it gets heavier and heavier. And you just need to put it down and say, like, okay, not mine. What do I want to do in this current moment? Remember the reading of earlier, if you didn't hear it, which was about what's the action to take in the present moment. And some of these burdens just need to be put down, given back to the right person, because if it's your burden, then you'll carry it. If I'm carrying your burdens for you, it's much heavier. I think I've lightened the load for you, but I haven't, because I actually can't act on it. And so I'm just carrying it and carrying it and carrying it. And it keeps me separate from my own path. And so they're kind of saying, sit down and look at everything that you are carrying in the burden of responsibility, and ask yourself honestly and truthfully, is it mine to carry? And if not, how do I lovingly give it back to the rightful owner so that they can carry their own burdens and learn their own lessons and find their own path and make their own way forward? That you don't need to do it for them. And by doing it for them, you're not supporting them and you're not helping them. Right, so there we have it, Taryn. Yeah, Tracy, it does. I'm looking very forward to it. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so at the risk of the lights going out, I'm going to end off this session here tonight. So I thank